sometimes that happens. It happens to where you press the live button and then all of a sudden it just goes dead for some reason. Guys, do me a favor. If I know it's a weekend, I know it's Saturday, and I know many of you are planning to paint the town fuchsia, and you're fine to do that. Just make sure that you're safe, you're doing the right thing, you're not drinking and driving. Can we not do that? Can we not put ourselves in harm's way for the sake of entertainment? Okay? Now, what I need to do is I need to make doubly certain that this broadcast is clear and that I am loud and clear. Let's go ahead and work that out. Are we on? Tell me we're on. Go ahead, tell me. I need to know that for my own good. I know it's a weekend, and but you know, sometimes these issues, when these issues pop up, you have to deal with them in real time. Sometimes if you wait too long, misinformation spreads like wildfire. And if you don't sort of extinguish it in good time, it's like a malignant cancer. It spreads so fast, by the time you get to it, it's done messed you up, boy. Tell you what. Bo Allen, I see you. Thank you so much. Guys, do me a favor as we get into this broadcast. I shan't keep you long. Under 15 minutes. Okay, this is a quick one. Please sling this broadcast around towards people that you think would be interested in this conversation. And I want to believe that many of you do want to participate in this conversation. Before I get into my dissertation, I have to make reference to the Malawian elections. There are some people that seem to think that it is a case of copy and paste. As far as I know, the authorities in South Africa are still counting the votes. And we don't know what's going to happen. But here's the thing. Malawi charts its own destiny. You know why? Because Malawi is a sovereign country, in the same way that Zambia is a sovereign country. The Malawian people have an opportunity to speak loudly and speak in unison. And whatever they decide, they decide. The Malawian people will do what the Malawian people do. And they are free moral agents. They're a sovereign country, a sovereign foreign country that have their own sets of rules. They beat to their own drum. They dance to the rhythm of their own beat. Okay, so far be it from you, me, and anybody else to suggest there's such a thing. There is no such thing as a Malawi formula. That is ridiculous. What is there is a democracy formula. Say it in the comments. Go ahead, break that down for me. There are these surrogates that are running around social media peddling this idea that, oh, we do what the Malawians do. No, we don't. we do what Zambians do. We do what we do in our interest, and we will decide. And when the time comes to decide and to choose and select our leaders that will lead us into 2026 and beyond, and mark my words, that time will come. When it comes, you and I are going to stand in line and we're going to vote for the candidates of our choice. You must understand that. So anyone that says, we're going to follow Malawi formula, what the hell does that mean? We're going to follow democracy formula. And when the Zambian people decide, we'll decide. Simple. And we'll move on. So keep an eye out for the results concerning Malawi. And we wish them the best. And whatever happens to them, happens to them. And we will extend the hand of congratulations to whoever wins. Let me also make mention here that the territory we're entering in now as a people, as far as technology is concerned, there's so much AI going on. And trust me, the level of deep fake that America experiences is so advanced. We in Zambia only experience the surface level of AI. There's something called deep fake, my friends. Deep fake, it's your face, it's your voice, but it's really not you. It's not you saying the words. Someone released an audio of Dr. Chakwera saying that his administration failed Malawi. In this audio, you can hear Dr. Chakwera's voice saying, we failed the people of Malawi, we didn't do anything, the cost of living was so high, and fuel was this, that, and the other, and people couldn't rub two coins together, and we were a useless government. You can tell from the intonation and the cadence. The cadence means the way someone speaks. You can tell from that cadence, the way those words were spoken, it was AI. It was all just computer generated. And it's very easy to do that. All you do is you take an audio clip of whoever you want to generate a false sort of information. You get their voice, you go into ChatGPT, you type the words that you want that voice to say, you prompt the software to say those words that you've typed. So in other words, if you take my voice, you take my audio, my voice, okay, you take it and then you type, the sky is blue when the stars are red. Generate. The computer will use my voice to say those words. And so Dr. Chakwera of Malawi, his voice has been used not only to concede defeat, but to suggest that their government was useless, they didn't do anything, and this, that, and the other. There is no losing presidential candidate that talks like that. A president that has lost an election simply concedes and congratulates his opponent. That's it. I want you to say that in the comments. Anywhere you go in the world, a president that has experienced electoral defeat simply concedes and congratulates his opponent. There's no presidential candidate that stands on a podium and says, we were useless, we didn't do anything for the people of Malawi, in fact, we deserve to die. You know, it's a miracle that the people of Malawi even gave us a chance. You know, my name is Dr. Lazarus, and I want you to know that we are the armpit of the world, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. AI. The biggest battle against misinformation is the next frontier. Ooh, that's deep. I want you to go ahead and say that in the comments. The biggest battle that we're now going into is the battle against misinformation and AI. That is the biggest battle, especially in the political space. Because it's going to take a while for people to become acclimated. It's going to take a while for people to become media smart. You know what media smart is? Media smart means you can look at something and tell, oh, that's a computer generated image. That is real. But where we're going in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to get to a place where it'll be very difficult to distinguish between fake and reality. That's where we're headed, you know? So, and it's going to do what it's going to do. But we're going to do what we're going to have to do as humanity, okay? All righty, just very quickly, I just want to deal with this issue. You guys know Emmanuel Propaganda Mwamba is a guy that is hell-bent on misrepresenting everything and anything he gets in his hands on for the sole purpose of discrediting this administration. Now, it's one thing to be a partisan politician. It's one thing to be an opposition leader, but it's a completely different kettle of fish when you are hell-bent on doing everything within your power to misinform, to mislead, to misinterpret, to weave a yarn of false information for the sake of disorienting your audience. That is sinister. How do you sleep at night knowing that you have deliberately created a false narrative that you know has the potential to misinform the public, but you go ahead and do it anyway? That tells me you're not a patriot. That tells me you don't love this nation. That tells me that your mouth is full of sour grapes. That tells me that you are so hell-bent on destroying this nation to the point where you will misrepresent, you will fabricate to the point of absolute nonsense for your own personal aggrandizement. Somebody please turn to your neighbor and say amen. It's ridiculous. So here it is. Emmanuel Mwamba bursts out of the gates, as he always does, because he exaggerates the hell out of everything. You know, he comes out of the thing and he starts yelling, Zambia, Zambia, we are embarrassed. And, you know, and he starts out with that to get your attention. And as a Zambian, when you read that first line, Zambia twasevana, Zambia has been embarrassed, your ears perk up, your blood pressure does what it's going to have to do to sort of sustain you. And you look at the story and you start reading it with bated breath, thinking to yourself, what has Zambia done now? Well, Emmanuel Mwamba came out with the story that there was an Australian pilot that was flying a small plane laden with $80 million worth of drugs contained in fake SpaceX packages. This plane, this happened on September the 14th, 2025, full of drugs, full of cocaine, crashed in a cane field in Brazil. Now, Emmanuel Mwamba falsely said that this was a Zambian registered plane. Guys, anyone in aviation, if you just do a little research, let me sidestep here and say this. Zambia, here where we are going, it would do you a lot of good when you hear something. Do a bit of research on your own. Don't take everything at face value. Don't listen to the first thing that comes out of, there's a reason he's called Emmanuel Propaganda Mwamba. Emmanuel makes Joseph Goebbels look like a Sunday school teacher. Remember Joseph Goebbels? The propaganda chief of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler of the Third Reich? Joseph Goebbels pales into utter insignificance compared to Emmanuel Propaganda Mwamba. My point is this, guys. When you come across a story, I know these people like Emmanuel Mwamba, they pray, P-R-E-Y, they feast on the fact that they know Zambians don't like reading. Zambians don't like researching. Zambians don't like trying to find out get to the bottom of the issue. They know that all they have to do is just say a few things on Facebook. Abo bayabo, ama Zambians, na umfwe fichitike okuwe. Da umfwire, arawala shadida. Umfwa. That's all Zambians know how to do. But if you research a bit, if you dig a bit deeper, if you stand just a moment longer than what you planned, you will very quickly understand that Emmanuel Mwamba's story is fabricated. First of all, Emmanuel Mwamba says that plane is a registered Zambian plane. That's not true. Zambian planes are registered with 9J. 9J. Okay? South African planes, ZA is South Africa. That's the reason why they say ZAR. It's South Africa. But Emmanuel Mwamba comes out and he convinces you, and he just tells you, oh, this plane that was laden full of cocaine, destined for the Australian market, that had a street value of more than $80 million. This Zambian plane that was being flown by this young Australian guy by the name of Clark, Anthony J. Clark, somehow had ties to Zambia, when in fact the truth is Anthony J. Clark, the pilot that crashed in a sugarcane field in Brazil, has zero connection to Zambia. Zero. The plane that he was flying, zero connection to Zambia. Zero. It would be one thing, honestly, it would be one thing if some of it were true. It's one thing if in fact the plane was registered in Zambia. Yes, there would be cause for concern. People would ask, well, if it was registered in Zambia, who's the owner of that plane? What Emmanuel Mwamba conveniently omits from his narrative, he won't tell you which Zambian that plane is registered under. He simply says Zambian registered. The implication is that the government of Zambia is involved in that $80 million cocaine heist, when there's zero connection to Zambia. The Australian pilot who died, no connection to Zambia. The plane, no connection to Zambia. So the question then is, why would Emmanuel Mwamba fabricate and paint in such broad strokes? The answer is simple. He's hell-bent on discrediting this administration by any means necessary. That's the bottom line. Emmanuel Mwamba hates HH to the point where he will do everything within his power to create these falsities for his own personal aggrandizement. Notwithstanding, he is a person of interest because Emmanuel is a fugitive. He's absconded, he's run off somewhere, he's in the States seeking asylum in a country that doesn't even want him. Let's be honest, in Trump's America, well, you think Trump is going to embrace you? You got another thing coming. That's a rude awakening there. Trump doesn't want to have anything to do with you. You're running towards the wrong wall. Let's be clear. Now, is there an end to this falsity? Is there an end to this yarn that Emmanuel Mwamba weaves in the wee hours of the morning? He wakes up in a cold sweat, beady eyes, and he sits in his little room thinking, contemplating, wondering, what next? Which story can I fabricate next? What can I do to discredit HH? What can I do to paint him in a negative light towards the Zambian people? What can I do? Well, tell you what, Emmanuel, you on the wrong side of right. Let's just go ahead and put it out there. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know your left from your right. You don't know whether you're coming, whether you're going. You're standing in the middle of political purgatory, and there's not a patriotic Zambian bone in your body. And you're going to get your comeuppance. You are. All right. I got to go home. For now to chill. Have a great weekend. God bless. Love you guys. Bye.